America's top ghost hunters relive their most extreme assignments.
Something was hunting me this whole time.
Hardened veterans of the paranormal, these are the cases that truly tested them.
I don't think I was ready for this.
In Ohio, a demonic entity terrorizes homeowners, and the paranormal investigators hunting it.
You really do feel like you're looking right into the eyes of evil.
We could have been possessed, or worse, dead.
Also in Ohio, sinister spirits swarm an abandoned inn
I didn't know what to expect.
and physically threaten those who dare step inside.
Amber, you okay?
It is unsettling. It's downright scary.
And in Michigan, evil is on display at a haunted museum.
It became, honestly, pretty frightening.
I was scared. I was terrified.
Ashland, Ohio, is a quiet town just an hour outside of Cleveland. It's home to 20,000 people, including Bob and Tammy Conyu. Their life is peaceful until they start renovations.
What do you think?
That's when strange things start to happen. At first, they notice sounds around the house when they're the only ones at home. But things quickly escalate.
There were a lot of physical things going on, like knives flying off the wall. They would actually fly across the room. Paper that just burst into flame in the kitchen for no apparent reason.
Then, they see frightening apparitions.
What looked like a little girl dressed in white, she would be staring back at them, and then she would slowly go up the stairway. And when they would go up to see what it was, they would never find anything.
And that isn't the worst of it.
He said that he and his wife one night had seen a shadow figure crawling across the ceiling in their bedroom. Those are usually not the result of haunts that are benign. They were anxious because it's dangerous.
Terrified, the couple calls paranormal investigator John Hines. With more than 20 years' experience, he's one of the top ghost hunters in North America.
I myself got my start because of paranormal experiences I had at a pretty early age. And that's what got me into wanting to find out and learn more about it and investigate paranormal activity. My ultimate goal as an investigator is to validate and come up with evidence for clients who are reporting things that are happening from a paranormal standpoint. But when we first talked to Bob and his wife, they were really on edge. What it sounded to me was that something had been stirred up in this house.
Wait, Tammy?
He agrees to investigate Bob and Tammy's home. John's daughter, Caitlin, and his co-investigator, Josh Fogelman, join him on this case.
The first time I walked into the house, I felt kind of uneven. It wasn't a very good feeling. I felt like something was watching me.
Heading upstairs, John and the team start in the bedroom belonging to Bob and Tammy's daughter. What they encounter is troubling.
I was starting to feel ill. You feel warm, nauseated.
Hey, you okay?
Very lightheaded. I felt really uneasy, and I just needed to get out of there. I don't know what was going on.
Josh, you okay?
In a fairly short amount of time, he just felt so bad that he said he needed to leave. This was the first time I'd ever seen Josh act like that. For this to come on him was something I had never seen happen to him before.
Josh isn't the only victim. Caitlin falls prey too.
She had indicated she wasn't feeling all that great. At one point, she just kind of slumped over on the bed that they were sitting on. She just really wasn't feeling good. We just lost Josh and Caitlin, and they definitely weren't in a good condition to continue. We probably were in the presence of an entity that was trying to draw energy from them, because this came on them so fast. I mean, it wasn't a gradual onset. They both just suddenly did not feel well. Whatever was there was definitely something that was negative, possibly demonic. It was powerful enough that it was able to make 2 of my investigators sick.
It's a very good possibility we could have been possessed or worse, dead. You never know. You truly never know.
Not wanting to risk further injury or worse, John is forced to suspend the investigation for the day.
That alone, to me, as the lead investigator, gave me strong concerns for how strong whatever was there was. Not only for my team, but also because Bob was having to live in that environment.
John vows to return to confront whatever is tormenting the family.
I believe that the family did have reason to be scared because they were, basically sharing their home with something that was able to not only impact the environment, but impact them as people.
After the team leaves, the activity in the home continues.
They were still, hearing things moving around, knives flying, papers bursting into flame.
Before the investigators can return, Bob and Tammy's daughter, Ariane, is attacked in her sleep. In Ohio, paranormal investigator John Hines fears a demon is responsible for nefarious activity at the home of Bob and Tammy Conyu.
Knives flying, papers bursting into flame.
The entity is a constant threat. And now, it targets Bob and Tammy's daughter.
Ariane has scratches on her and also had a circular pattern, very, very similar to a pentagram, burned or somehow scuffed into her back.
Mom, Dad, get up here right now! Where is it?
Terrified, the family called John immediately.
Well, as soon as I hear that a pentagram has been, etched or scratched into somebody, immediately I'm thinking, okay, we're dealing with something that's demonic. The family state of mind was definitely an increase in their anxiety. They were even more on edge.
John scrambles his team and enters the house, ready for a battle.
It does still feel active. You can still feel something watching you.
Knowing, that the first time it made 2 investigators sick, I couldn't help but wonder, what might it do to us this time?
They start on the 2nd floor.
What's in here?
What do? Just step over my
Did you just hear something squeak?
Yeah.
And we could start hearing this meow.
I know.
Like just a cat. Like if it was sitting right here on the floor, it was like something like that.
I know.
No, but it sounded like it came from in there.
What's wrong? Do they have a cat?
No.
When you hear a sound of an animal, it could be something masquerading as, a pet.
Did you hear that? Yeah, I did.
It did it again.
One of them seemed to come from one of the other rooms, so we decided to go into Ariane's room and try to do an EVP session.
I felt nervous going back into that room because when we first went in there, I didn't feel good. Caitlin fainted. You don't know what you're going to walk into.
They can't shake the feeling that something is in the room with them. And what happens next suggests they're right.
What's wrong?
Dad,
What's happened?
I can't feel my leg.
Caitlin had mentioned that her leg felt really cold, as if she had been standing in front of an open refrigerator is kind of what it felt like. Her leg and also her hand were kind of tingling. She was complaining that the tingling was getting worse. And within just seconds, she said that she couldn't feel her leg. And also her hand.
I can't move my good friend.
What's wrong?
I can't feel my leg.
I am worried because, this is my daughter.
Let her go!
This was the first time that I had ever seen, Caitlin impacted quite like this on an investigation.
John suspects it was indeed a demon attacking Caitlin.
I think that it was its way of, saying, I can do this, imagine what else I could do.
He furiously tries to protect her.
Stay away from my daughter! Let her go!
John fears what the demon might do to Caitlin.
The one thing that I knew was I couldn't allow that situation to continue.
It hurts. It still hurts.
I had my hand on her leg, and I just said, by the power of God, leave my daughter alone. Almost immediately, we heard and felt a boom or a bang. And at that point, I pulled my hand away, and Caitlin said,
Starting to feel better.
We kind of helped her to her feet, and she was able to stand on it. We stopped everything, and all of us left that room and went back downstairs.
With Caitlin safely downstairs, John and Josh return to the room to confront the entity. But it is lying in wait for them.
As soon as I stepped into the room, I just suddenly felt like I had been pushed up against the wall, and I realized immediately I really couldn't move. I was seeing this shadowy form in front of me. Being attacked by an entity and you can feel the weight of it, that's a really scary feeling.
When I saw John get pinned by the shadow figure, it made me very nervous and very helpless. At that point, I didn't know what to do.
You really do feel like you're looking right into the eyes of evil.
At a home haunting in Ohio, a demon attacks paranormal investigator John Hines.
I just suddenly felt like I had been pushed up against the wall. I really couldn't move. You really do feel like you're looking right into the eyes of evil. I tried to struggle free, but it seemed like no matter what I did, it just felt like that weight was just keeping me from being able to move. And then there was just a flash and it dissolved. It wasn't there anymore. And the moment that happened, I was able to step forward from the wall. I believe strongly that this was the same shadow creature that they had seen in their bedroom.
However, the entity isn't finished with John yet.
Whatever that was, I might not see it again, but... And while I was talking, I suddenly felt this just bone-chilling cold. I just suddenly broke out in goosebumps. And the very next instant, Josh said, I just caught an orb. It was right at about where I saw it. Oh man, I got goosebumps.
Dude, I think I just caught an orb going right above your head.
Right above my head?
I swear to God.
Oh. Which way did it go?
Went this way.
That way?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I got goosebumps. If it's something that, is a negative entity as an orb, it's very possible that it might be wanting to possess, or at least to break you down enough to make you more vulnerable. I definitely felt that I was being personally attacked, and I do believe that it was probably an extension of the attack that had happened before with Caitlin. What that told me was, okay, whatever is here, it's probably going to escalate. I felt that at this point, okay, it's time to go downstairs. We have what we came for.
John ends the investigation and reveals their findings to the Conyers.
There very possibly was a portal in that location where these things were freely being able to, come into our plane and leave our plane, and it just seemed like everything coming through was something that was just, over time, more and more negative.
God. Power of God compels us.
The danger of having an open portal is that you have just opened a doorway and left it wide open for anything to feel invited to come across. And these are never entities that are positive. The evil entity that was there is still very much there. We felt that, the home definitely was being haunted by an evil presence, most likely demonic because of everything that had been going on. We were also pretty convinced that the cat meow and what people were describing with the little girl were most likely manifestations of this evil entity that was still, to this day, I believe, is at their house.
Still to come, when a spirit exhibits extremely evil intentions. A night at the museum gives veteran investigators the biggest fright of their lives.
Out!
But first, dangerous entities at an old inn attack ghost hunters again.
Ow!
Amber, you okay?
Ow, my arm.
And again.
Amber!
It was bone chilling.
It has the ability to shove. What else is it capable of?
In Palmyra, Ohio, stands the Stagecoach Inn. Built in the 1800s, it is a recognized historic landmark. But now, the inn lies empty. Derelict and decaying as the owner attempts to restore it to its former glory. There is a heaviness that hangs in the air, and reports of bizarre and unexplained events add to the gloom.
We heard that there are footsteps, music playing, shadow figures. People have been reporting seeing a ball of light. They hear children laughing when there's no children present. There had been an apparition of a woman seen on the second floor. There was all kinds of things going on there.
The inn's caretaker witnesses particularly troubling activity when he's alone.
He had experienced hearing voices, he has heard singing, he has heard furniture move, and most disturbingly, he has had stones and other objects thrown at him.
The reports capture the attention of Eric McGill. He is the lead investigator with the paranormal research group, Ectovision.
My ultimate goal as an investigator is to capture interaction or direct responses from spirits or any type of entity or presence, because that's how we learn more about the paranormal and how we share and teach others. We go to these locations where known malevolent activity is said to occur because we are seeking those answers. We do what we do in spite of the risks that are involved.
Eric's co-investigators, Amber Wellman and Tom Jaworski, visit the inn to conduct a preliminary investigation.
When we first arrived, it was quiet, and I didn't feel anything at all, nothing out of the normal. But that only lasted for a little while.
As they make their way upstairs, they get a subtle sign that they are not alone.
All of a sudden, my headlamp came on.
What happened?
My headlight just came on.
I couldn't believe it, simply because that headlight is hard for me to push the on switch on. So it took a tremendous amount of force to switch that light on.
Then the activity becomes dangerous.
Amber, you okay?
Amber, as she was coming down the steps, she was pushed with such force and ended up ramming her arm into the banister on the stairway.
The attack on Amber prompts Eric to launch a full-scale investigation.
I was very anxious to get in there. I thought, if that presence or entity has the power and ability to physically move objects, and it has the ability to shove people or turn on a headlamp, what else is it capable of?
Almost as soon as the team returns to the inn, the activity starts up again.
I happened to look down the hallway towards where the saloon was located, and I saw the figure, a shadow figure, of a small boy that sort of leaned out in front of the doorway and disappeared. I couldn't believe my eyes.
In Ohio, Eric McGill and his team of ghost hunters investigate the historic Stagecoach Inn.
I was very anxious to get in there.
As soon as they do, the paranormal activity begins.
Amber, you all right?
I saw the figure, a shadow figure, of a small boy that sort of leaned out in front of the doorway and disappeared. I couldn't believe my eyes.
Oh, look.
Amber saw it as well.
And she says to me, "Oh my God, I just saw a little boy in that room down there. A shadow figure of a little boy, so high."
I have the chills really, really bad right now.
She justified the fact that I had actually seen something, because she too saw that figure.
When I heard that they had seen what appeared to be the shadowy figure of a small child, I got excited. If it's already trying to interact with you, you have a real shot at capturing something amazing.
The team sets up their equipment all over the building. They start in the basement and work their way up every floor.
Let's go upstairs.
Over here or?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, just a second.
Our static thermal camera picked up the voice of a woman.
Sounds to me like a female yelling. And the words she's saying sounds like, "And I'm sick and tired of," and then it becomes indiscernible.
It was somebody that was mad.
Then, Amber feels something much more disturbing.
Amber was shoved.
What
the hell was
that?
Did you just feel something like that?
Yeah. Didn't you see me fall backwards?
Amber said it felt like hands pushed her against the wall and she lost her breath momentarily.
She said that she was pretty startled by the event and pretty scared.
That was weird. Did you feel pushed forwards?
What had happened?
Because I got pushed
I
backwards.
felt absolute cold behind me. She was pushed back.
That the same person or spirit or entity that pushed Amber on the stairway the first time she was in the building remembered her and wanted to let Amber know that she wasn't wanted. It is unsettling. It's downright scary. Something that has that kind of force that it can move objects and people and go through people, give them a cold chill. That's something you really don't want to deal with.
The experience worries the entire team.
When somebody is shoved on an investigation, you have to take it very seriously.
There's something there that was aggressive, that was angry, and really didn't want people there. We took it as a warning.
We needed a break. I needed to make sure Amber was okay. We needed to just stop, kind of get our bearings and get all together and get reorganized.
The entities present are in no mood to let them rest.
We suddenly heard the motion detector down in the basement alarming.
It's in the basement. Tom and I will check it out. You guys stay here?
We were going down there with a little bit of nervousness and a little bit of anxiety.
Eric McGill and his team try to recover after an aggressive attack at the Stagecoach Inn. But active and agitated spirits have other plans in store.
We suddenly heard the motion detector down in the basement alarming.
It's in the basement.
We were going down there with a little bit of nervousness and a little bit of anxiety.
This basement had a dirt floor, a low ceiling. It was full of spider webs. It was dark, wet.
We're not seeing any footprints, and this is a dirt floor. I didn't know what to expect. We're kind of anxious to go over the evidence to see if it was something, I don't know, paranormal or...
What they discover is unnatural.
We captured what appeared to be a mist or partial apparition. It looks to us like some boots stepping in midair, and it makes a sound of what sounds like boots on a wooden floor. It was shocking.
I couldn't believe it. It looked like a pair of boots to me, walking across a floor that wasn't there.
This was trying to manifest fully, but just didn't have the energy or the ability to do so.
I have no idea who it was. I just know it was there. It was a mystery to us.
The partial apparition in the basement only puts the team further on edge.
Things were getting uncomfortable. We have worn out our welcome.
They don't want us to be there.
Eric convinces the team to investigate one last area, the Bible room.
They keep a Bible in that room, and the interesting thing about this Bible that sits on this mantle or this fireplace is that many times that Bible will wind up on the floor.
Holy cow.
Nobody knows how or why that happens. This Bible just strangely seems to move all on its own.
It does just that while the team is in the room.
Holy cow.
That was crazy.
Satisfied with their evidence, Eric decides to end the investigation, which is a relief to the team.
It seemed like the right time to leave. Everybody was worn out physically and spiritually, so sticking around, it could have gotten worse.
Before they go, they explain their findings to the caretaker.
Check this out.
He was able to watch what we captured and definitely was able to further validate for us that what we captured was similar to what other paranormal investigators had experienced.
Despite the attacks on his team, Eric does not recommend cleansing the inn.
I wouldn't suggest trying to remove them because I think of that as a form of provocation, and if it fails, it's going to come back at you harder than what you could imagine.
Eric leaves the investigation with more questions than answers.
It's so hard to really say who could be haunting the Stagecoach stop. We do know that the inn has changed hands many times.
We have no idea where the spirits came from or what time period they're from. We just know they're there and they're active.
I'm just glad that we were able to get the things that we were able to get, and we were able to all leave safely.
History comes alive in a very frightening fashion at a haunted museum.
Ouch! Ouch!
And terrifies paranormal investigators beyond belief.
This is the only time I've ever been scared.
Just complete fear.
In Caspian, Michigan, stands the Iron County Historical Museum. Founded in 1962, it's now a vast 10-acre property showcasing dozens of exhibits, including the former home of a late 19th century musician.
Carrie Jacobs Bond was the first female recording artist in the United States to reach 1 million records sold.
She was very successful as a musician, but definitely had some challenges in her life. Her son committed suicide. Her husband passed away prematurely due to an accident.
She had a lot of personal tragedy.
In 1978, the museum brought in Carrie's home as an exhibit, but along with the history, many witness bizarre events.
Employees and actually visitors claim that they heard disembodied voices.
Clear as day voices, like a normal person talking when no one's there.
Doors shutting. They'd hear footsteps all through the house and there'd be nobody else in the house.
There were people that had always had really uneasy feelings with the Carrie Jacobs Bond house in particular.
The activity is constant and frightens staff.
People had had experiences, specifically some of the museum employee workers.
A volunteer that worked at the museum setting up the dining room. Heard a female's voice say, "That looks beautiful."
That looks beautiful.
She was so shaken up by it.
Everything in that house was scary.
News of the activity reaches ghost hunter Todd Bonner. He is the co-founder of Detroit Paranormal Expeditions. Over the course of 8 years, he has investigated hundreds of cases.
No, there's something else out there besides us. Any chance I get to go to a historic building, haunted location, I do it. You have to be fearless when you do this stuff, but you have to be cautious. My approach to the paranormal is you can't try and provoke or be disrespectful, because then you may get that disrespect back.
Todd arranges to investigate the museum.
Walking into the Carrie Jacobs Bond house.
His team is the first to ever conduct an investigation there. He brings along Lauren Serino, Brandy Miller, and Jeff Atkins.
We were very much drawn to the Carrie Jacobs Bond house, and I think it's kind of like the museum's crown jewel. We were going into a situation where we didn't know what we would encounter. We definitely did feel like there could be some dangerous elements to it.
As soon as I walked into the house, everything changed. It was a heavy, almost like an oppressed feeling I got of something not wanting us there.
The team gets to work right away. The women stay on the main level while Todd and Jeff explore upstairs. They waste no time trying to contact the spirits.
If you're here, can you give a sign that you're here?
They get a response right away.
You hear the whistle? Yeah. Is that you? No. It sounded like someone just real quick whistled.
So are you hearing this right now? Are you hearing this right now?
And then it happened again. We were both a little bit freaked out about hearing the whistling because it was just so obvious that it was upstairs and nobody else was upstairs.
You hear the whistle? Yeah. Is that you? No.
Despite himself, Todd calls out to the spirit.
There's a spirit in the hallway. Please come join us.
Will you join Jeff and I in here?
And we got these very loud, clear footsteps walking into the room.
It was kind of shocking that happened.
They're eager to learn more about the presence.
We started asking questions like, if there's anything in this house, come join us. We don't want to hurt you. We just want to talk to you. We mean you no harm.
All we are here is to talk with you. You haven't had that chance to talk to anyone in years.
But they are met with silence. Todd leaves Jeff to keep watch upstairs. As he joins Brandy and Lauren, he finds them in the parlor.
Lauren had the idea of playing some music to see if that would trigger any kind of activity.
They don't have to wait long to get a reaction.
And that's when the activity really started to ramp up. You could feel the negative energy. The temperature changed, it got really cold. This is strange to us, like it's strange to us in the moment.
Their equipment confirms a paranormal presence.
And then that's when the K2 started going off, and that's when it started to spike. It slowly went up, then it went to red, all the way to red. And that I've never really seen that stay at red before.
Then the unimaginable happens. Ghost hunter Todd Bonner and his team investigate the Carrie Jacobs Bond House in Michigan. They know right away they aren't welcome there.
You can feel the negative energy.
The spirit in the home is powerful and menacing.
That's when the K2 started going off.
And then the entity uses that device to attack.
Our K2 meter flew and hit Lauren in the leg, and she screamed instantly. The K2 meter hurled in there 5 feet in the air. It stayed red, all the way red while it was in there, flew with force and hit Lauren. It was something I'll never forget. I'm not gonna lie, I was scared.
I ran down the stairs as quickly as I could. I burst into the room, and I said, what happened?
And we just said, we gotta get out of here. We just ran out.
We gotta get out of here. Let's go. Go, 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 go. All right, go.
Like your intuition is telling you, like, just to get out of this house. Like whatever spirit was there was really making itself known.
Still to this day, I've never witnessed anything like that before. It was a scary feeling. I've never been scared doing this. This is the only time I've ever been scared.
Though terrified, Todd steels himself to finish the investigation.
We gotta go back in.
He asks Jeff to come with him.
My first thought was, no way. Everything in my whole being was telling me don't go into the house. Todd very much likes to face things down. He wants to know what happened. And so I said, okay, if you want to go back, I will go back with you.
I was scared. I was terrified. But I sucked it up to go back in there again, because this is what we do. So we went back in there.
Todd and Jeff anxiously head back to the parlor.
We're not here to hurt you. We just want to talk.
We start doing an EVP session, and we say, we didn't mean to make any harm. We didn't come here to disrespect anybody. I don't know if you're angry or don't want us here.
But the spirit is in no mood for talking.
At this point, the spirit almost feels hostile. We feel very uncomfortable in that house.
Oh my God, dude. I don't know if I can stay here, man. Did you hear that over there? Yeah.
And that's when the footsteps started coming towards us from the back of the house all the way to the front of the house.
And that feeling was extremely unwelcoming and scary.
To the top of the stairs, there was a loud thump, and then heavy footsteps coming down the stairs towards us to where we were at.
It became, honestly, pretty frightening. I felt pretty in danger.
There.
I just couldn't hold myself.
We both react at the same time on the video. Todd jumps off the couch, I stand up. Todd looked at me right when it happened, and I've never seen a look like that on his face in my life. Just complete fear.
And we did hear a voice say, leave. It was a gruff voice, very unpleasant. Like someone with authority telling you to leave. Like, we don't want you here, leave.
All right, we're heading out of here, okay?
And that was apparent to us, and just with the fear that we felt, we knew it was time to go.
My natural instinct was, you have to get out. So I just got up, both ran out.
After this frightening encounter, they end the investigation.
I don't think we could have took anymore, actually. I was ready to go home. Whatever in that house is very powerful, very strong, and has a lot of energy.
Todd's experience validates what many others suspect, that it is the spirit of Carrie Jacobs Bond that haunts the home.
I think spirits, they get attached to their house. They're waiting for their husband or their child to come back. Carrie Jacobs Bond, they might have been just as scared as us, so maybe that was like their defense mechanism to say, leave.
The team agrees that this is the most terrifying investigation they have ever been a part of.
We've been all over the United States, famous locations, smaller locations. I've never had this kind of activity target us.
I did feel like I was in danger. I think in my experience as a paranormal investigator, that is probably the time I was most scared. I've never been on an investigation where I was getting this kind of fight or flight type feeling so consistently and so often.
And this is the most haunted place I've ever been to. I can say that for 100% sure. What happened in the Carrie Jacobs Bond house, I had never experienced before.
Despite all the negativity they encountered, Todd is open to going back.
The place intrigues me. I don't know if it's because it scared me so much. I would love to go back and do it again, but it depends if I can force myself to go back in that house one more time.